Hey, I'm Grant with Grant's Game Rex, back with my monthly video on the best board games coming to retail, just like I do every month. Thank you so much for joining me. We got a lot of great games this month of March 2025. To me, retail means friendly local game stores. Yes, please go support your friendly local game stores, but also not all of these are in friendly local game stores. Some of them will be available through publishers' websites or online marketplaces. Essentially, any way that you can get them easily and immediately. You don't have to wait like 18 months for a crowdfunding campaign to fulfill for all of the games on this list. As always, there's always more games than I can include in this video. I wish I could include everything, but I try to include different types of games. I want there to be things for every type of gamer, you know, heavy strategy games, campaign games, party games, family games, all that sort of stuff. If you're interested in hearing about some of the other games that are coming to retail that did not make this video, you're welcome to join my Patreon, patreon.com/GrantsGameRex. But for now, let's get into every month I do between like 25 and 30, and then that's what we got. We got a lot of games. Let's get into them. First up this month, 25th Century Games, in association with Ludo Liminal, is releasing the game Diatoms. This plays 1 to 4 players in 30 to 45 minutes, and it is a lightweight game, but maybe on the upper end of lightweight games. Diatoms actually won the Cardboard Edison Awards in 2023, I think, and so that's an award for indie game designers that's fairly prestigious. I've been a judge in the past, and there's a lot of great games that come through that, so winning it, you know that this is a good game just by virtue of that. It is a puzzly tile placement pattern making game. So diatoms are these things in nature. They're microscopic algae, and if you put them under a microscope, they have beautiful geometric shapes, and they're just really, really gorgeous if you can see them, you know, kind of up close. You can't see it with the naked eye, but this game, you are making those same sort of geometric patterns that you see in actual diatoms in nature. You will be placing tiles down in your own player area and creating connections of colors. And when you create connections of colors, you get these diatom pieces of different colors and shapes. And if you connect 2 together in your tiles, then you get one particular shape. If you connect 3 together, you get a different shape. If you connect 4 together, you get a different shape. And then you are adding them to your personal player board and trying to create symmetry and trying to create patterns and trying to create beauty. And so if you like puzzly, abstract, very pretty games, then you will probably like Diatoms. And it also includes a solo variant if you just want like a chill, puzzly solo experience. You got that, with Diatoms. Alley Cat Games is releasing the game Barbecubes, which is fun to say. Not barbecues, Barbecubes. Yeah, you heard it right. 2 to 6 players, 3 to 15 minutes, very lightweight game. This is one of their tiny tin box games. Alley Cat Games has done a few of these, most famously Tinder Blocks, which came out, 4 years ago or something like that. Barbecubes is, in that same line, but is a totally separate game. And so in the game, there are a bunch of little food pieces, think like chicken wings and steaks and stuff like that, fish. And you are using tweezers to put them on a little grill. You flip over a card, and that tells you how many grid lines your piece has to touch and which piece you have to place. And you have to tweezer, pick it up, and put it on the grill lines without making it fall off the grill. And so, it's just a light, silly dexterity game. And you're moving things around and trying to shove things on the grill, and things are hanging off and things are hanging on. And, it's just, it's very silly. It's one of those types of games you can put in your pocket, you can put in, a bag and bring to any place like a brewery or something like that and just have a silly fun time for like 10 minutes. Alley Cat Games is also releasing Tic Tac Trek. This is another game in their tiny box tin game lines. It plays 2 players in 15 to 20 minutes, and it is a lightweight game. Tic Tac Trek is a little bit more strategic than maybe some of the other dexterity games in Alley Cat Games' tin line, but you know, still a very, very light game. As I mentioned, 2 players only. It's a tile laying game. You'll be pulling a piece from the bag, and that will either be an X or an O, and it will be a color of a terrain type. So you are then adding it to this central area where you are placing out where you're placing out tiles, and there's a tic-tac-toe element to it. You might have guessed by the name Tic Tac Trek. When you get 3 of your symbol in a row, you can put a campfire token on it, and those campfire tokens are going to be worth points at the end. And you're also going to gain points for having empty areas around where you have a campfire token. And you have to play blue next to blue, and things like that. You have to play the terrain types next to each other. So it's, a tile laying game that mixes tic-tac-toe elements into it. So if you're like, man, I've always wanted tic-tac-toe to be more strategic. Boy, do I love tic-tac-toe, but nobody will play it with me because it always ends in a stalemate. Well, boom. Yeah, try Tic Tac Trek. This game was meant for you if you've been saying that to yourself in a mirror. Alley Cat Games is also releasing Station to Station. This plays 2 to 4 players in 60 to 90 minutes, and it is a medium weight game, though on the lower end of medium weight games. This is a pick up and deliver game, so if you're a fan of pick up and deliver, then you might like this one. You are playing as it's the Steam Age, what was that? The late 1800s, the Steam Age. I feel like that's what it was. Maybe it was the turn of the century. When was Steam popular? When you had to, Steam, I'll tell you when Steam's popular for me. It's when I need to iron a shirt and I don't have an ironing board, so I put it in the shower and steam it that way. Life hacks with Dad, Grant Lyon, who's not actually a dad. Boy, I'm off the rails right now. Okay, in Station to Station, you are planning a route, and you're moving around with your train, but you can sort of buy goods that are in the spot that you're in, or you can spend coal to get goods from spots away from where you are, because you're paying the coal to ship them to where you are. And then you're moving and you're having to pay coal to move. One of the things that attracts me to the game is you are also hiring crew, and those crew slot into your own personal player board, and there's an engine building aspect to the game. There is, these crew will all get you special abilities that'll make things easier, that'll make things cheaper, that will give you benefits and stuff like that. So you want to, upgrade crew as you go along. There are sort of even more expensive crew that you can do, because you can only have one crew person in each slot. So at some point you might go, I really want that ability now. I got to get rid of this other crew member and jettison them off the train. But, a pick up and deliver game that mixes some engine building in there and some set collection. So sounds fun to me. Arcane Wonders, in association with R.A.V.E.L, is releasing the game Buffet Boss. This plays 1 to 5 players, 15 to 25 minutes, and it is a lightweight game. This is also a dexterity game, so you have a couple of options if you want a silly dexterity game this month. In this game, you are going to be stacking foods on a plate, and you're going to get bonus points if you can stack the highest plate of food. And all the food is weird shapes, sort of like the shapes it would be in real life. So you're sort of puzzling together how you can stack them on your plate and get them to, help each other stay on the plate without falling off. And so, yeah, it certainly looks good on the table in that you will create a bunch of sort of wild stacks of food. Imagine you're at a buffet, like a old country buffet or whatever, and we're all the worst versions versions of ourselves where we're going to put spaghetti on top of steak and put that next to yogurt, and I can get whatever I want at a buffet, and I'm living my best life here. And that's kind of what this game is, where you're just stacking your plate with random foods that don't actually go together all the time. So if you like food, then check out Buffet Boss. Asmodee, in association with Office Dog Games, is releasing the game Crafting the Cosmos. This plays 2 to 4 players in 60 to 90 minutes, and it is a medium weight game. This is a game all about space and the universe, and one of the cool things about it is this is kind of based on actual science. It's not really science fiction. You are building these kind of planets by adding elements around it. You know, you need hydrogen and nitrogen and things like that to sort of complete a planet. The table presence on Crafting the Cosmos is incredible. In the game, every turn is sort of split into 2 phases. You have the energy phase and the crafting phase. And in the energy phase, you're going to be moving marbles around this central board area. And where you're dropping marbles off, that is going to determine the resources that you gain for the round. And there's a bunch of different resources in the game. And then in the crafting phase, you're going to use those resources to place on your own personal player board, and you're trying to complete patterns and objectives and, you know, get certain elements around certain nebula and, you know, get, you want life to form, pre-life, and all this stuff. So, proto-life, you want carbon, oxygen, helium, hydrogen, all the elements that it takes to make a successful planet out there in the universe. And again, you know, you're putting all this stuff in, you know, into the dual layered player board, so all these cool things are sticking out of the player board, and it's certainly one you're going to want to photograph at the end of the game for sure. So, you know, it's got me all hot and bothered just thinking about Crafting the Cosmos. So yeah, I mean, it was one that was on my most anticipated games of the year, so I am, needless to say, I'm very excited to try Crafting the Cosmos, and I will be trying it soon. I got a copy, and I will be getting it to the table soon, so I will report back, but I am excited to try it out. Asmodee, in association with Up Games, is releasing the game Floristry. This is a 2-player only game, plays in 15 to 20 minutes, and it is a lightweight game. The selling point of Floristry, the thing that sets it apart, the thing that makes it different than other games, is a thing called a Dutch auction. The game will be run with an app at the center, and every round you'll start a timer. And the timer is going to tick down, and it's going to make everything cheaper the further down the timer it goes. So, you know, if you stop the timer right away, you're going to spend a lot of money for all the tiles that are available that round. Whereas if you wait longer, your opponent might stop it and buy everything before you do. So there's that tension of like, I don't want to overpay for this stuff, but I also want to beat my opponent to the auction, and ultimately what you're doing is you're buying these flower tiles and building up your flower display in your shop, and you're going to score points for having areas of, you know, different types of flowers that are connected, right? You want to make this, you know, want to put blue flowers together and yellow flowers together, and the more you get touching each other, the more points you're going to get. However, if you don't spend money as much, that is also going to be worth points. So it's that push and pull of like, how do I get what I want to build out my flower display, but also not overpay for the tiles that are available right now? And that tension of that auction is fun. I had a chance to demo this one at PAX Unplugged, and there really is that tension of like, I'm watching the timer, but I'm also kind of watching you so I can get in there right before you do, you know, so I can steal that. And also, maybe I fake you out because I don't want you to wait until it's so cheap or things like that. So yeah, it's just it's a Dutch auction. I hadn't heard that term before, but now I know it, and I will be using it. All right, Asmodee, in association with Repos Production, is releasing the game Mythicals. This is also a 2-player only game, plays in 15 minutes, and it is a lightweight game. This is a set collection game, but a unique one in the sense that you are then blowing up your sets, turning in your sets for these tiles. So you, on your turn, you'll be getting cards, and you can keep cards of, you draw 3 cards, and you can keep anything that is all one type of card, one suit, I suppose you could say. And anything that you don't keep gets placed into the market, and the markets will build up. If you want tiles from the market, you need to turn in sequential numbers of that color of tile, of that suit. And if you are, if you only have 3 cards, then you're going to get a tile that is less valuable than if you have 5 cards. If you have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, boom, you're going to get a super valuable tile. There's also a way to manipulate how valuable tiles are, which is kind of interesting. You can add these point values onto a tile. So now instead of that tile being worth 3 points, it's now worth 5 points. And I'm obviously going to add that to a tile that I think I'm going to win. Not that my opponent is going to win, but I might get surprised. I might have made something more valuable, and then my opponent swoops in and grabs it from me and is able to sort of purchase that tile. And so, yeah, it's, a quick playing, right? 15 to 20 minutes, 2-player game, but, vibrant art and interesting mechanisms where you are turning in set collection and stuff, blowing up your sets to get these tiles. Asmodee, in association with Impatience, is releasing the game R.A.V.E.L. I hope I'm saying that right. This is a solo game, a 1-player game, plays in 10 minutes, and it is a lightweight game. It is a puzzle game, and, sort of solving it once is 10 minutes. So you can reset and replay, and you can play it a bunch of times. So it's not like the experience is over in 10 minutes. They call it an endlessly resettable puzzle. You have 8 dice placed in the center of a grid, and you have to manipulate those 8 dice in order to solve the cog cards placed around it. There are going to be 4 cards placed around the center of the grid, and you are manipulating the dice to sort of solve those cog cards. And when you solve a cog card, you're going to get, it's going to give you a unique opportunity to further unlock the remaining cards. It's going to give you a bonus, a benefit that will help you figure out the puzzle. But it's certainly going to require you to be clever, for you to be thinking outside the box. You got to figure out how to use your limited resources and manipulate the dice to solve the puzzles. So if you're looking for a little puzzle solving game, if you like dice and figuring out how to do that, then R.A.V.E.L might be for you. I always say with these solo games too, yes, it is a solo game, but solo games are also easy to play with one other person cooperatively if you want to. You can play it 2 people and just be making decisions together. I still have fun with it in that way. Big Potato Games is releasing Don't Press That Mine Turtle. This plays 2 to 6 players in 20 minutes, and it is a lightweight party game. This is definitely a party game through and through. In fact, it is kind of a truth or dare or competition game. There are 3 types of cards. There's truth, there's dares, and then there's tasks you have to complete. And so in the game, one player is sort of getting the card, and then they're choosing someone to do the thing. And you want to pick somebody that you don't think is going to be that great at it, because if they fail, they have to press the turtle multiple times. The card will tell them how many times they have to press the turtle. But if they succeed, you have to press the turtle, and you don't want to press the turtle because eventually it will explode and you will lose the game. And so it is literally like a little landmine. This is a little turtle landmine. And so, you know, if you're looking for a silly game, this certainly will require some physicality with some of the dares and the challenges in the game, or, you know, will require you to learn some about the people you're playing with the truth aspect of the game. So it's really just kind of elevated truth or dare with a fun centerpiece of this turtle you have to press. And the turtle's very cute, I will admit, you know, just from a mechanism standpoint, it does look silly and fun. So, and I'm sure it's very exciting when it explodes and, oh my God, there's a big moment in the game and we're all laughing about it. Chip Theory Games is releasing The Elder Scrolls Betrayal of the Second Era. This is a game that had a very large crowdfunding campaign, and it has been fulfilling over, you know, the last month. It is still fulfilling in March, but it will be available direct through the Chip Theory website by the end of the month. So if you didn't back the campaign and you still want to check out The Elder Scrolls, you have an opportunity to do that direct through Chip Theory now. So, you know, a lot of people did back the campaign, so if you got your pledge and stuff, I hope you're enjoying it already. This plays 1 to 4 players in 120 to 240 minutes, and it is a heavier weight game. And when I say 120 to 240 minutes, that's essentially one session of the game plays in that, because it is a cooperative tabletop adventure game. It is based on the IP, The Elder Scrolls, a very popular video game series, and so this is the tabletop version of that. And, you know, there is a ton of content in the game. There is literally over 100 hours of game in this box. So if you're looking for one thing that can hold your attention for a long time, that has a lot of sessions, that has a lot of content in it, you're going to get a ton of plays out of The Elder Scrolls. As a game, you are playing as a hero, and you can sort of customize and upgrade your hero throughout the game. I mean, that's one of the most fun things about it, is sort of leveling up your hero as the game goes on. You're going to be managing multiple skill lines for your hero, classes, experience the many regions of the board. You're going to be going out and exploring. You're going to be talking to people. You're going to be fighting people. There's just, you know, there is an open sandbox feel to it of, it's just really a tabletop adventure. It is a big epic adventure experiences. Each of the heroes you can play as has some of their own unique flavor and mechanisms. You know, it does say, you know, experience points are handed out generously, which allows you to build interesting and unique characters throughout the game. Session-to-session progress is meaningful, but players are not required to remember complex narrative points or play with the same group forever. So you know, it isn't just a campaign game in the sense that you need the same people for the whole time. Like, you can mix and match people in there because there is, you know, some through line, but it's not like story heavy. So yeah, that's The Elder Scrolls Betrayal of the Second Era. Devere Games is releasing the game Quorum. This plays 2 to 4 players in 45 to 60 minutes, and it is a medium weight game. I'll also preface it by saying 45 to 60 minutes, I have played this game with my game group a number of times, and when people know how to play the game, you can play the game in 30 minutes. I've had games of this take 30 minutes, and I would honestly describe it as one of the thinkiest 30-minute games out there. It is not hard to play, but there is a lot of depth of strategy in the game. On your turn, all you're doing is picking up a card and playing a card. That's it. Like, it's pretty simple, and when everybody has played 12 cards, game over. But cards are going to have sort of 3 different pieces of information to them, and so some of the cards, you know, they're going to get you influence in these different regions. That's one of the things to consider. They're also going to be a type of card that will score you points at the end of the game for set collection or for, you know, color, suit, or things like that. they also have banners on them. Those banners are going to interact with the regions of influence and score points based on the regions of influence that you win and stuff. So you're constantly thinking about, where do I need to go up tracks? What do I need to get my influence higher? And how can I affect the tokens and make this more valuable? And also not ignoring, oh, I need some set collection. I need some things like that in the cards that I'm playing. So there really is a ton going on for a game that plays pretty quickly and is pretty easy to play. It's one that, like, I've played multiple times because it just, the strategy of it feels so deep. It feels replayable in the sense that I'm like, oh man, I did terribly. I gotta come back. I want to play that more. I want to figure it out. I want to do better. You know, it is that type of game for sure. Draco Studios is releasing the game Party Panda Pirates. This plays 2 to 6 players in 30 to 45 minutes, and it is a lightweight game. Full disclosure, I did write some funny lines and content for the rule book and, a couple other places. It's not a ton, but there's a few lines that I wrote and things like that in the game. It is a game full of a bunch of mini games. But the way you select the mini games you're gonna play is pretty silly. There's a big pirate ship, and you're taking your pandas and putting it in this chute and shooting them out of the pirate ship, trying to land on an island. And if you can land on the island, you'll get coins, and ultimately coins are worth points. And also, the island that has the most pandas on it is going to determine the mini game we play. And the mini games are all quick and fun and silly and easy to learn. You know, stacking dice or pushing your luck or throwing cards, or, it's using the components in the game in various different ways, mini games. If you're looking for a way to sort of maybe learn some different board game mechanisms, it's probably good for that too. The different mini games are going to be different types of games, and a full game of Party Panda Pirates is 6 mini games. You play 6 mini games, and whoever has the most coins at the end of 6 mini games wins. But there's a ton of mini games in the box. There's way more than 6, so there's a lot of replayability in that as well, because you can play through a different set of mini games the next time you play the game. They're also going to be doing an expansion at some point where they add even more mini games to the game. So, the sort of possibilities are endless with adding mini games to Party Panda Pirates, and it comes with that fun table presence and that shooting pandas mechanism, which is just silly and a good time. Next up, Far Off Games is releasing Arydia: The Paths We Dare Tread. This plays 1 to 4 players in 60 to 240 minutes, and it is a medium plus weight game. This is another game that had a big Kickstarter campaign, and people have been waiting for a while, but it is fulfilling and is now available through their website, and you can get it now if you would really like Arydia. This is a open world campaign cooperative fantasy-based exploration game. And so the game is sort of built on 4 pillars. And those pillars are exploration. It really is like an open sandbox game where you can kind of go anywhere and explore different things. It is a game built on progression. It is a campaign where you will be playing over a number of game sessions, and each session will start where you left off, and as you play, the game keeps track of your actions, your decisions. Your characters will level up, grow in power, collect new items, weapons, skills, things like that. Another pillar of the game is combat. There's a lot of places where that are gonna be hostile, and you're gonna need weapons and skills and cooperation to overcome the challenges and defeat the bad guys and the situations. And then lastly, there is a lot of role-playing in the game. You are encouraged to sort of step into the shoes of the characters of the game, and there's even, the game builds in incentives. So if you engage in dramatic storytelling, then the incentive-based roleplay system encourages you and gives you rewards if you engage in the roleplaying. You don't have to, but it is certainly an aspect of the game that they encourage. Another thing interesting about Arydia is they call it a green legacy game. It is a legacy game where you're going to have packages to open and hidden information and progression and discovery. You know, you're changing the state of the game as you go, like any legacy game, but it is all it allows you to reset the game when you have completed it. So you're not like tearing up cards or putting stickers that you can't remove. You're doing legacy things, whereas you're releasing new content as the game goes on and changing the board state, but you're not making permanent changes. So you can reset the game and play it again and make different choices, or even give it away to somebody else if you want to give the game to someone else. So that's cool. That to me makes me more attracted to a legacy game, because I'm always like, I don't want to rip stuff up. I feel bad doing it. There's also a ton of content in this one. You know, it's another game that has a lot of hours of content if you are looking for a big exploration game to play. Flat River Games, in association with FunForge, is releasing the game Tapas. This plays 2 players only, 10 to 15 minutes, and it is a lightweight game. This is an abstract game where you are using your Tapas tokens to push your opponent's tokens off of the board while trying to not knock your own off the board. And there's not a lot of information about it online, so I can't tell you a ton about Tapas, but I can tell you that I love tapas, and that's why I'm including this game. I was like, I want to eat tapas right now. This is making me hungry just talking about it. I love tapas, bro. We get little plates of food we can share. That sounds amazing. And so, yeah, if you like that theme, this is a little abstract, puzzly game for you with the theme of tapas. Flat River Games, in association with Bonjour Games, is releasing Rone Invasion. This plays 1 to 2 players in 45 to 90 minutes, and it is a medium weight game. It is a deck and dice building game. The tagline of it is where you can screw the dice before they screw you. And I love that. You literally need a screwdriver. And so it is a dice crafting game, just like a deck building game, where you are literally unscrewing a part of the dice and then screwing in a new color. And so when you roll the dice, when those colors come up, those are resources that you can use throughout the game. So you are making your dice stronger in the game by literally unscrewing and screwing in new parts of the dice. So, you know, I don't even know if you have to have a screwdriver to play the game. I don't know if the game comes with one. And then other than that, it is a, fairly classic deck building game. You are going to be buying cards to add to your deck to make your deck stronger throughout the game, but the screw and the stuff and the dice, that's really what makes it feel different. The game does feature 2 different game modes. There's a competitive mode, which is a head-to-head battle where we are fighting each other, and then there's also a cooperative mode where the 2 of us are working together, or solo. We are taking on Celesta and her forces to try to stop the invasion. So if you're a fan of deck building games, or if you've always wanted to use a screwdriver in a game, then check out Rone Invasion. Grandpa Beck's Games is releasing 3-2-1 Countdown. This plays 2 to 8 players in 16 to 30 minutes. That's what the BGG listing says. It is a lightweight card game. Grandpa Beck's is very good at making sort of modern card games that feel like updated twists on classic card games. And I would say 3-2-1 Countdown is similar to, other games in their line in that way. It is a retro space themed game where you are shedding cards out of your hand, trying to get rid of cards, and you're doing it by, you can play singles or you can play sets. If you have 4 7s, you can play all 4 7s down at one time. And when you think you have the least amount of points in your hand from the value of the cards left in your hand, you can call countdown. You can declare countdown, and then the round ends. If the player who declares countdown has the lowest hand, they earn points and bonuses. However, if they don't have the lowest hand, then they earn no points, so they get screwed for the round. So you want to really try to make sure you have a low value hand when you call countdown. So, that's the tension of the game, is when to call it or when to keep trying to get rid of cards. And it plays quick, and it is fun, and it feels like a classic card game. Hachette, in association with Yellow, is releasing the game Pina Coladice. I can never say this one. In my head, I have to go Pina Colada. It's a Pina Coladice. Pina Coladice. That's the game. Pina Coladice. Pina Coladice. There we go. This plays 2 to 4 players in 10 to 20 minutes, and it is a lightweight game. This is a, party game, but maybe has a little bit more strategy than some party games. You are rolling dice, and it's like Yahtzee rolling, where you can set things aside and roll some more, or re-roll the things you've already rolled, and you are trying to accomplish the things listed on the various coasters out on the board. Like this coaster, to claim this coaster, you need 3 6s, and then you get to put your color on that coaster. Or this one, you need a full house to claim this one. And some are easier, some are harder to get. And if you can get your player colors to take up a whole row or column, all 4 in a row or column, then you're going to win instantly. And so that's one of the things you're trying to do, is claim these different coasters. And then if nobody gets a 4 row or column, then each of the coasters are worth points at the end of the game, so you can see who wins that way. It's not as, an instant win like the other way, but, you can still win the game by claiming good coasters and rolling well and pushing your luck and getting the things you need, getting the valuable ones out there. So it's very light. Obviously, it's a take on Yahtzee dice rolling with a little bit more strategy out there based on all these cool coasters out on the board. Hachette, in association with Gigamic, is releasing the game Slide. This plays 2 to 6 players in 15 minutes, and it is a lightweight card game. Slide is a sort of like a little slide puzzle, but, with more player interaction than a slide puzzle you're doing on your own. There's going to be a bunch of cards out in the market every round, and you are all taking a card from the market in turn order, and turn order will pass around the table, and then you have to slide the card into your grid in some way. You can't just pick up a card and put it down there. You have to slide cards around, because the interesting thing is, every round the cards that are sort of in the middle for grabs are 1 from each of our grids. So you have a gap in your grid. So when you slide in a new card, you have to utilize that gap in some way. And ultimately, you're trying to have the least amount of points in your grid at the end of the game. Any cards that are the same value that are touching each other, 0 out. So there are times where you're like, 9 points, that's a 9? That card is way worse than a 2. But I also have some 9s up here in my grid, so if I can manipulate it to get it next to those other 9s, then they all 0 out, and maybe the 9 isn't that bad for me. And so, it's just a quick little puzzle game of sliding cards around, getting things in the grid the way that you want them, and sometimes getting screwed. I felt like I got screwed. I was like doing great in Slide when I was playing it, and then the last one I got stuck with like an 8 on the last turn, and instead of having 2 points I had like 11 points or something. I don't know, but it was a fun time. Inside Up Games is releasing the game Perch. This plays 2 to 5 players in 30 to 60 minutes, and it is a medium weight game. Perch is will challenge for my top 10 games of the year. I played Perch in 2024 a lot, but now it's having its retail release, and I was considering it for my 2024 top 10 games video and list, but then it ultimately didn't have its full release until it's having its full release now, so I didn't want to include it last year, but I was really considering it. I love the game of Perch. It has a ton of player interaction, which I like in games. It does have moments of, screwing each other over, but everybody's screwing everybody all the time, and so nothing's personal in the game. Every round, you will be adding 2 of your own birds to the player area, to the sort of shared play area, but you'll also be pulling 2 birds from a bag and then placing those on the player area as well. And you could pull one of your own color from the bag, you could pull 2 of another person's color, you could pull 1 and 1, and so there's just a lot of strategy to think about, not only where you're placing your birds, but where you're placing other people's birds, because you can do things to screw them over, you can do things to help them. All of the tiles that are out in the play area have various special abilities and various animal tokens that they might earn you. If you have the most power on a tile, you're going to gain the ability of that tile. However, one of the interesting things is not all the tiles having the most power on there is a good thing for points. Sometimes the person who has the most on there gets 0 points, and the person who has second most on there gets 5 points every round. And so, do I want to go for the special ability of the tile? Do I want to go for the points and try to finish second? And so, you're stacking birds, and you're putting birds on all these different tiles and activating things every round. And it is really, it's one of those games where I have to be constantly thinking about what everybody else is up to as well as what I'm up to, and I like that social interaction in the game. If you don't mind a little bit of cutthroatness, there is definitely cutthroatness in the game of Perch, but I really like the game a lot. It's great, and it's got really fun table presence with you stack birds on top of each other, and there's bird nests out there, and you make this whole thing, you make this whole nest of birds out there, and it looks really cool on the table. Kess Company is releasing the game The Cast List. This plays 2 to 99 players. Essentially, you can play it with however many people you want. It plays in 25 to 30 minutes, and it is a lightweight party game. I will admit, so I played The Cast List at Gamma Expo, and I had a great time with it, but it does feel more of an activity than a game. It is a fun activity, but it's not really about scoring points or things like that. This game was kind of made for my brain. My roommates get super annoyed with me because whenever we sit down to watch a movie or a TV show and I see an actor in the movie, I have to look up what else they've been in. Every time I'm like, whoa, I recognize them. What are they from? And they're like, wait till after the movie. And I'm like, no, I have to do it right now because I'll be thinking about it the whole time until I have to look it up right now. So I'm not thinking about, I can't enjoy them. They're like, well, you're not enjoying the movie. And I'm like, I can't enjoy the movie unless I look this up because I won't be thinking about the movie. I'll be thinking about what I've seen them in before. And so that is essentially what the cast list is. Every card is an actor and 5 projects that they've been in. And so you read off 2 of them, and if the other team can guess who the actor is based off the 2 of them, they get a bunch of points. And if they don't get it, then you read off another one, and then they get less points. And then you read off another one, and then they get even less points. And so the earlier you can answer, who that actor is, the more points you'll get. But it's just basically being like, who was in Red Eye and also Batman Begins, oh, that's Cillian Murphy, boom, that's what you're doing. So yeah, if your brain works the same as mine, you might like the cast list. Cosmos is releasing the game Marbelous. This plays 1 to 4 players in 30 minutes, and it is a lightweight game. This is, you are choosing a marble card on display, then rolling 2 or 3 marbles into your grid. And it's like Candy Crush, you know? If you get multiple marbles of the same color touching, then they pop and you grab the scoring card matching the color and the size of the group. And if you form another group after removing those marbles from the grid, those pop too. And so cascading marble colors touching, you know, it's I really loved a game that came out, I don't know, 6-7 years ago called Potion Explosion, which was also a bit of Candy Crush in real life. And this essentially feels like the simpler version of Potion Explosion. You know, if you want to play with like an 8-year-old, a 9-year-old, something like that, Potion Explosion, you know, had a decent amount going on in it, and Marbelous is a lot simpler of a game, and so can play younger kids, and, you know, people new to games, just different people like that. So, you know, it's fun having the marbles and try to get colors next to each other. That's always a good time. So that's Marbelous. R.A.V.E.L is releasing the game Finding Calm. This plays 1 to 5 players in 15 minutes, and it is a lightweight game. This one is actually in Barnes & Noble, so if you are looking for Finding Calm, check it out in Barnes & Noble this month. It is described as a relaxing solo or cooperative game meant to still your mind and guide you towards a calmer, more mindful life. And boy, do I need help with that, okay? I'm just a ball of anxiety all the time. I gotta get this done. I gotta do this. I need more calm. I need more chill in my life. And so I'm gonna be checking out Finding Calm at some point. You're gonna be laying out these beautiful oracle cards by placing each card you draw in a grid, and then each card you place is going to interact with the cards around it and flip some and do things, you know, activate different abilities in unique ways. And your goal is to end the game with a single card face up, which then reveals a meaningful intention to guide you for the rest of the day. So yeah, if you need help relaxing, like I do, then maybe Finding Calm is a good solo or cooperative game for you to check out. Renegade Game Studios is releasing the game Unstoppable. This plays 1 to 2 players in 30 to 90 minutes, and it is a medium weight game. 1 to 2 players, meaning it is solo or a cooperative experience. It is a deck building game, but it's not just buying cards and making your deck better. It is a card crafting game as well. You will be sliding cards and upgrading cards through the things that you buy. You'll be sliding them into sleeves and crafting the cards. So there's a lot of replayability in that way because you're going to craft things differently in different games. But one of the interesting aspects of the game is every card that gets you a benefit on the back side of it is a bad guy you have to fight, is somebody you have to defeat. And so even as you slide things in to make the card more powerful for you, it is also making it more powerful for the bad guy. And so, you know, that's an interesting aspect of the game. And so, you know, you have to play through a big bad guy. There's a big bad guy you have to defeat, and the game has multiple big bad guys, but, you know, that's not the various different bad guys isn't the sort of selling point of the game. The selling point is that card crafting and deck building in a unique way. And then you have to face unlimited threats, maintaining action and card draw momentum to become unstoppable. So I like the idea of you don't know what the bad guy is on the back too. Oh, a lot of tension in the game from that. The R.A.V.E.L is releasing the game Hutan, Life in the Rainforest. This plays 1 to 4 players, 30 to 45 minutes, and it is a medium weight game, but on the lighter end of medium weight game. This is a nature-themed, pretty game with cool components and table presence. There will be cards out there that will get you different flower tokens, and each round you're going to draft a card and place those flower tokens on your board. And the flower tokens need to be placed next to flower tokens that are already out there. And when you get a certain amount of flower tokens, then you can upgrade to a tree. And when you fill an area with trees, then you get an animal token on there. All of those things are going to get you extra points. And, you know, so your boards will be full of trees and animal tokens by the end. So again, that's the cool table presence aspect of it. One of the things I like about the game is the board that you're playing on is a modular board with 4 tiles, and each of the boards has sort of various regions on it. And if you don't fill a region, if you fill a region, if you can get flower tokens on every spot in the region and fill it up, you're going to score points for that region. But if you don't fill the region by the end of the game, it will cost you points. So there is a tension as you get later and later in the game of like, do I want to start that new region or do I think I can finish it? I don't know. Like, I don't know what to do right now. And that's just a good tension in the game of trying to finish regions and trying to focus on, oh no, I need one more for that region in order to close it out. And I need to do that or it's going to cost me a bunch of points against me. And it is, you know, a fairly, you know, it says it plays 8 and up, so it's a family weight game for sure and plays fairly quickly and is very pretty on the table. So if you like nature games, Hutan is a good one. And on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, theme-wise, Trick or Treat Studios is releasing House of 1,000 Corpses. This plays 1 to 4 players in 30 to 60 minutes, and it is a medium weight game. I've talked to Trick or Treat Studios about House of 1,000 Corpses. You know, that is a Rob Zombie film, and Rob Zombie was okay with them making a board game version of it as long as people had to play as the bad guys. That was the whole that was his only stipulation, is you can make a board game of this if people play as the bad guys. So this is a cooperative game, but you are not trying to survive. You are playing as the evildoers, trying to capture victims and not let them escape. And so you are playing as the Firefly family. You are searching around the house, looking for people hiding there, and bringing them to Dr. Satan before too many rounds pass or too many people escape the house. You have, each character has some asymmetric abilities and their own special abilities and their own play styles. And it also has a unique action system. So if you basically have these cards and you put them down in an action row, and the first card of that action row is free to do, whereas the 4th card is going to cost you a bunch of action cubes. And when you activate that free action, it moves to the back of the line. You can do it again if you have to, but it's going to cost you a bunch of action cubes now that it's at the back of the line. So that's an interesting system of how actions are rotating and the things that are available become cheaper or more expensive depending on what you're doing in the game and which actions you are activating. And, you know, if you want to play as the bad guys in a horror-themed game, House of 1,000 Corpses is an opportunity to do that for sure. Ultra Pro is releasing the game FanZone Soccer Trivia game. This is a trivia game all about soccer. And it has 2 game modes. It plays either ages 7 and up, an easier mode, or ages 14 and up. It can play as many people as you want, really. But it does have this very big sort of World Cup trophy feeling centerpiece to it, and you will be pressing a button and it will read off a question, and you know that question might be like how many World Cups has Lionel Messi won, or something like that, you know, soccer trivia, and you are then trying to press it and trying to, you know, answer it correctly, and so, you know, it's about that fun centerpiece. I'm also including it in this video because I was a college soccer player and I love soccer and I want more people to be talking about soccer in America, okay? okay? That was one of the first jokes that I ever had viral. You can see it all over the internet where I have a joke about how people are like, soccer is boring because it's low scoring. And I'm like, yeah, but also the NFL is low scoring, but they just make up points, you know? It's not 21-14, it's 3-2. The score is 3-2. You just made up all these extra points. So, you know, if you're interested in learning more about soccer, play FanZone Soccer Trivia Game. Wacky Wizard Games, which is the sort of sub-lightweight line of Wise Wizard Games, is releasing Push Push Penguin. This plays 2 to 6 players in 10 to 20 minutes, and it is a lightweight game. You are rolling dice in your cup and putting dice out and then choosing a dice to activate from the ones that you rolled. And those will move your penguin forward on the board. But there's also an orca, and the orca moves forward as well. Someone will have an orca dice, and you are trying to win the race, but actually you're trying to be second in the race, because when the orca meets the first penguin, they scare off that penguin, and now the second person in the line, in the race, wins the game. The person who's in first gets scared off, and the person in second wins the game. And so you want to, you know, when you are activating dice, you are trying to activate something that moves you ahead more than most people, but not the most of anybody. You know, you don't want to overtake everybody in the game, because then you're going to lose and get scared by the orca. So, you know, it is a very light game, but I've actually had a few friends play it, and they're like, oh, for like a 20-minute game, it's super fun. You just roll a dice and try not to be first, trying to be second instead. Wonderbow Games is releasing the game Whispering Woods. This plays 1 to 4 players in 25 to 40 minutes, and it is a lightweight game. This is a tile-laying pattern building game. You are going to take a tile from the market and add it to your own player area. And you are creating patterns for your animal meeples to travel across. When, you know, one tile might say you need to travel across purple, purple, green. And if you can do that, if you can get those tiles there, purple, purple, green, and you can travel your meeple across that, then you score for that pattern. You have a tile that tells you that you score for that pattern, and now whatever tile you land on with your animal meeple flips over and becomes a new objective that you can score points for. And so in that way, you're going to be constantly getting new objectives and new ways to score points in the game. There's a big bag, and so you refill the market by pulling tiles out of the bag and putting tiles out into the market area. And when you take tiles, you can either take them as the face up sort of color that they are showing, or you can take one and flip it over and become a new scoring objective for you. So you can add some scoring objectives that way as well. So, you know, it is a, you know, simple game, but a, you know, interesting pattern building game of adding tiles and creating routes that you can travel along with your animal meeples to finish objectives and score points. So that's what I got for you. That was 29 games coming to retail here in the month of March. As always, I hope you found something that you're excited about. I hope that you get a chance to play some of these games. I also hope that you don't play all of these games, because that sounds like a lot to play for you, and I don't want you to be overwhelmed. But I hope you do get to play some of them, and I will for sure be playing some of them more. So I hope to see you at more conventions soon. I'll be at TokenCon in Oklahoma City this upcoming weekend, or actually probably the weekend that this is being released on. I'll also be at C2E2 in Chicago next month. If you go to C2E2, which is, you know, all pop culture stuff, it includes board games, but it also includes, you know, video games and cosplay and a bunch of stuff like that. If you're going to C2E2, check out my schedule, because I will have some events at C2E2. I'm doing some game events in a place they call the Tavern. It's something they're trying this year to give people a place to go drink and play games and have fun, and I'm doing some big group things in there, so it'll be a good time. So I hope to see you at a convention soon. I'm Grant with Grant's Game Rex.